Joseph Murphy says we are all afraid to fail at something because we're too afraid. He says that it's fear that prevents us from going after our dreams and from doing things that may just take us out of our comfort zone. Speaking of coming out of comfort zone, this is Douglas Bedford and my hair. Check the descriptions below to learn a little bit more about Joseph Murphy. But here's the reality for most of us, and this is the reason why we can't get to our goals. It's self-sabotage. And what I want to share with you today is why being too specific with your goals is causing you self-sabotage. So what is self-sabotage? Self-sabotage is a term used to describe a situation where an individual knowingly performs an act that could lead to their own failure or harm. Common examples of self-sabotage range from a lot of things, but it's usually behaviors that counteract with the life that you want. For me personally, I remember back in another life, not too long ago, I used to do a lot of bartending competitions, not throwing bottles in the air like Tom Cruise in the cocktail movie classic Cocktails. But at the time when I was just starting off bartending, I had imposter syndrome. And that's because I didn't quite fit into the bartending culture. I was kind of like an outsider in this members only club. I didn't have the twirly mustache or enough tattoos or a Rolodex memory of pre-prohibition type cocktails. I just didn't quite fit in with the crowd, even though I did like the job. And because I'm super competitive, I wanted to be the best bartender in the city that I lived in. It just so happens at the restaurant I did work at, there were a lot of people that made me feel like an outsider. So I kind of built this identity off this fragile state, and it caused the groundwork for a lot of self-sabotage and building identity on castles made of sand, and that sand was made out of booze. More importantly for you, most of us have goals of becoming a different version of ourselves, a better version of ourselves, an ideal version of ourselves. And if you build that identity off a fragile ego, you might end up becoming a victim of yourself. My mistake was having a goal so specific, and I based my perception off of how other people saw me, and I had a negative reason behind it, revenge and spite. And according to Murphy, our subconscious mind will only accept a dominant of two ideas, either dominating to mood or feeling. So to take me as an example, I had the idea of becoming the best bartender that I wanted to become based off of a fragile ego. But deep down, I felt like I didn't belong. But that feeling of not belonging superseded the identity of what I want to become. And the only way that I can overcome that incongruency with the goal that I have for myself and then my identity of being fragile was liquid courage, like booze, right? A temporary fix that did get me to pretty good levels, but nothing sustainable, right? And this is nothing against people that imbibe or drink, but I actually had to work with a hypnotist and a mindset coach to help me build an identity on a solid basis. And that's a different story for a different time. But the important thing is for you to possibly absorb this kind of concept, because self-sabotage, you want to see it coming from a mile away. You don't want it to sneak up on you. And in order to prevent self-sabotage, there has to be a positive intent behind your goal. The second thing is, you have to go a bit general. When you are a little bit general in the way you're in what your goal is, you give yourself some leeway and you're not so specific, which leads to the last point that ties this all together. What you can do to actually stop self-sabotage. Honestly, it's really quite simple. Just know that being super specific and rigid with your goals can actually lead to your self-sabotage, because you just start judging yourself so hard for not getting something so unattainable. You limit your beliefs that way, and you just give yourself such a small window to achieve your goals, And you're setting up like this false identity loop of what you can actually achieve. And you just don't have to be so hard on yourself. The third thing, as a result of putting so much pressure on yourself, is like you're just setting yourself up for such a huge disappointment. Instead, you should just be clear about what you want, then take general and positive, actionable steps towards that goal. And you have to remember, like, take a step back. The universe is efficient and it wants the best for you, meaning it's not going to go out of its way to just attack you. If you can find what a system is and kind of go with the flow, then you can achieve your goal with moving in momentum of the reality that's there. Meaning overall, you should trust the reason why you want to have a goal, find the positive intent behind it, let go of control, and just go with the flow. So I hope this video helps you, and if it does, please like, subscribe, and share, and hit that bell. And until next time.